All right. All right. Paper Girls has arrived from Amazon Prime Video. Hi, everyone. I am Ronan Unchained, and I will be your host for the Paper Girls After Show discussion. And I am very, very excited to talk about this
Oh Lord,
episode.
Jesus.
And I can't do it alone because I probably will go mad, and I need some balance, hopefully. And I have an amazing group of individuals that would be helping me talk
Oh, you so
about the
kind.
first three episodes of Paper Girls. First, I want to introduce Natasha. Nat, welcome to the discussion. How are you?
Hey, how you doing? I'm trying not to crack up.
I am good. This I let the fun begin. We'll see, but I also need a good dear friend of mine, Jenna Mike. Rise, my friend. Oh, no. Now, is it the heat or is it the three episodes that we've got?
I hope you guys are having a blessed day.
Oh,
Better day than I'm having.
oh no, no, no.
We'll get back to program. I got some notes.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. There it is. There it is. And I also want to give a quick shout out to Sam from Team JVS for allowing me to do this. Sam, if I could, I would hug you right now. I would say, it's all good, man. It's all good. Sam. Ah, you need the
I'm
AC
going down
high.
to my little corner and I'm gonna stay there.
Okay, okay, okay. Um,
Oh, child.
so right now, what we're gonna leave it for all you folks is that we're gonna do non-spoiler for the first three episodes of this series. We're gonna do
Is it worth
non-spoilers
it?
out of out of kindness and just being like, if people want to go in. This is I'll say this. Forget what we each think individually. I hope that people go without knowing too much and you see how they experience this because this is uh, based on an independent comic book from Image Comics. It's not Marvel, it's not DC, and I like that whether how we all thought about these episodes that something not from the big two got made into live action, and I think that's a good thing. I think that opens more range to what graphic novels and comics can do in adaptation, and we'll see how it concludes. But as of now, we have seen the first three episodes, and we will give you our non-spoiler thoughts to the best of our abilities. Um, I don't want to be egotistical. I will go last. And Nat, I don't want to. I'm not trying to put you in the spotlight one up, but I am of old school thoughts of that. Ladies go first, and I just want to hear and see what you think of
Such
the
a
first three
gentleman.
episodes.
I did struggle
Okay.
for the first two. I did think it started to pick up just a smidge, episode three. I'm trying. Um, I do think I try and give grace when it comes to child actors, and
Yes.
what makes it break it for me is the adult actors. Like, how do the adults, can they bring it in for me to help balance if the children are kind of like can grow into the role or kind of get into the groove of their story or their arc of their character. And I have to say, of the characters that were introduced, I'm leaning towards liking a little bit more Aaron's character and Mac's character. I think they have a little more depth, and I want more depth to Tiffany and
KJ.
KJ.
Yeah.
Um, I'm hoping we get that in the last 4, 5 episodes. So I'm hoping.
All right, all right. That's fair. That's valid. Uh, I think I'm gonna address it. Okay, Sam, everybody, I'm gonna address it already because I knew from when I heard this was being adapted to the release coming soon and whatnot, I was like, people are gonna bring up Stranger Things, bicycles, kids, the '80s, someone's smoking, someone's drinking, someone's swearing. What? There it
Greatness.
is. There it is.
Greatness.
Um, I will say this, not in defense or in a pessimistic way. The graphic novel, the comic book does predate Stranger Things. This is post what 4 seasons of excellent television, in my opinion, from Stranger Things. And yes, there is similarities. Yes, in terms of what they're going for, not in terms of how quality is and people that's objective and people will do take what they take. But yes, they are kids. They are in hijinks. It's kids in the '80s, and they are in bicycles. They have walkie talkies, and that is something that I will say that was a big grab for me when I first read the comic book because I read the comic the first 10 issues. I thought that the cover looked cool. The title was neat, intriguing. I'm like, what is this? And they said it's like Stranger Things. Okay, cool. I read the first 10 issues and I dug it. Now, I think that there is, and I'm going to be as positive as I can. There are moments in the first 3 episodes that I'm like, all right, I am in. And then there are moments in the first 3 episodes where, specifically episode 2, that I went, damn, I'm gonna have to think about this one because it's just it didn't hit me. For if the second episode hits you, congratulations, I am happy for you. I wish I could be you, but it didn't do it for me. Like Nat. Um, I think the first episode was good from a fan of the comic book. I saw moments of it that I'm like, they switched that, but oh, that's from the comic. 3 is where it really picked up for me, and that's my favorite episode thus far. But enough about me. Jenna, Mike, you haven't read the comic, but you've seen some of the imagery, some of the visuals. How how do you feel about these first 3 episodes?
Um, so I'm a comic book fan. Um, but and I'm also a graphic designer. So when I heard about this, say I comic book, I looked at the art style. That's what the thing that first drew me into it, right? And so, anytime when I was a kid, that even if it was a crappy store, let me just look pictures, when I was younger. But now I'm not a child anymore. I'm a man now, right? And I I was watching the show, and as I should be the viewer, as I haven't seen any pre-existing material, what should grab me to the show is the quality, the storytelling, the acting, etc. That is what
Yes.
should grab me for someone that's not having pre-existing material, giving me some type of fan base. It's like, no, this show should be the standard, right?
Yes.
You're supposed to be targeting non-comic book fans, whatever it might be. That being said, it was like pulling teeth. Like I gotta get my wisdom teeth out. I gotta get my two other teeth. Like it, I don't even got that. I was this is made like talking about Stranger Things and made it completely like look like Citizen Kane, you know. Um, and I saw the comments of people saying, oh well, is Stranger Thing or this show this comic book predates Stranger Things? Like, no, I don't give that excuse. You can have two pre-existing things that might be targeting the same similar audience, but the whole thing is quality stands before anything else. Hey, the
Yes.
Justice League predates the Avengers, but hey, um, look how that's happening right now. It's no excuse. Like the point about this personally for me, I just feel as a fan is like, okay, the most important episode in any one season, in any season you watch any type of television, any showrunner, any critic will tell you this: the most important episode of a season is your second episode, not your first episode, because anybody can be assigned to watch a pilot. It's the second
Mm.
episode, and that's when they can pick up numbers. Like, hey, I want to go watch this returning episode because I enjoyed myself the week before. And unfortunately, they didn't do that for me. And I'll leave it at that and we move on. But
That's fair. As you know, like, yes, I was saying all that stuff about what the comic did for me and me going to the show, but Mike, you said it best. I couldn't said it better. I do agree that it's like it's an adaptation now. This is where it's a different ball game. Yes, there's source material, which is why probably I'm giving it more the benefit of the doubt because uh, I am eager to read the book more and see how this show will develop. And I think that sci-fi is an amazing genre to step into in any type of storytelling you want to go for. But I gotta admit that even as much as I liked episode one, I was a little confused of how that became a factor into this show in the TV show and how it sends off our characters into the adventure. Was anybody lost with the time travel aspects of this show? It's my question.
I was initially like, I still don't know the name of the villain. They mentioned it in the description of the episode, but unless someone says this person's name, I don't know. I don't know who this person is.
Right.
That's a problem for me. I think with the first episode, the way that it was structured, they could have increased the intrigue by introducing the time travel aspect before we got introduced to the kids. I feel like that would have been slightly better.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's I don't know. That's just my opinion, but I just feel like that would have been slightly better as far as structure. It would have built at least a little bit of suspense as far as, how they did it. And I just feel like with the kids, I understand what they were trying to do. They were trying to make it different from Stranger Things. I get it. Especially this fourth season of Stranger Things.
Yes.
Sam and I already discussed this.
Yeah.
But even with the first season of Stranger Things, you were hooked the first episode.
Immediately. Yeah.
I was not hooked. I wanted to, but I wasn't quite there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I think that was my benefit or detriment to viewing the show is that I had read the book and I could connect the dots and know where Mac was going to come from. I know where Tiff was going to come from. But Sam, Sam, I'm coming for you, Sam. I'm going. Um, I want to ask you this because you've seen a lot of shows from Amazon Prime Video. Tell me your thoughts of these first 3 episodes, and does it meet the level? But should we be expecting bigger stuff from this streaming service that has done tremendous work? That doesn't even have to be comic book related as well, just basic television stories. What are your thoughts about that? Oh, you're mute.
you're muted.
Yeah, I was like, I might as well not even have my mic on.
No.
So now my baseline with this was I have not seen the trailer. I literally, whether you guys know it or not, based off of Ronan's recommendation alone, he said that this is the Image Comics. He said that, this is something he's interested in. I was like, all right, cool. Let's see if we can go and check it out. So I didn't, read up on what this was about. I didn't look at the trailer. I literally went in completely blind. The only thing I knew that one of you guys has suggested it's a little bit like Stranger Things, but I still had no idea what I was getting myself into. And I think that is the thing that hurts this more than anything else. This should have never been compared to Stranger Things in any way, shape, or form. In my mind, I can't speak for anybody else, but in my mind, this should have never been compared in any way, shape, or form. If I take just the first episode, the pilot of Stranger Things, right? And Jedi Mike said it, like, normally you give it like 2, 3 to hook you. And if I compare just the first episode, that came out with 2016, and I compared it to all three of these episodes, I could not. It it doesn't hold up at all. It doesn't hold up as quality. One of the things that Stranger Things has is very likable and connectable characters that the audience connects with, you're intrigued by, and then they also really connect with the atmosphere, the era, right?
Yes.
Like the era in the 80s, they really go for it. They dub it down. And this took a very different approach because these girls, the way that they kind of, show them like these just regular girls doing a paper route, they all have different things going on. One of them is coming from a place of struggle. Another one's coming from a place from overseas and trying to make it. Other one's very smart, inquisitive. The other one's an athlete, but they all are dealing with their own internal things. And then on one night, they decide to, meet up, talk, and coordinate. And they start seeming like they're having a connection. And all of a sudden something happens. And then you're dealing with this displacement in time. One of the things that Nat brought up is that she didn't understand the way that time travel worked. She didn't understand what was going on with the villain. Was there a villain? I don't even know. I looked at these first 3 episodes. I don't know how far in the future this group or entity is interjecting themselves to do this. I don't know who's a part of the good guys. I don't know who part of the bad guys. But one thing I do know absolutely, which is the thing that hurts this more so than the comparison of Stranger Things, is the fact that not one of these characters I actually connect with or like. It's not as though these characters are not, attainable from somebody else's perspective that maybe lives like this, but I just don't like them. Like, I don't like any single one of these characters. Because the weird thing is, the one that I actually found fascinating was Mac. I think Mac, out of everybody of the girls, I'm like, you know what? You're a female John Connor, and I like you.
Oh my gosh,
you know what? I like you.
Yes.
But even with her, in the first 2 episodes, they completely dissolve your likability of that character as well. And so if you can't break me into this by me attaching myself to the characters, fundamentally, what is going on? So then I look outward. I look at the quality. I look at the VFX. I look at a streaming service in Amazon that has brought us some of the most amazing things present day, like in The Boys, soon to be The Lord of the Rings. I just went through the terminal list, even though there's things I didn't like about that. From a quality standpoint, it was there. And this, from a quality standpoint, it just does not hold up, unfortunately. And that is where we are having issue here. Because if the quality was there, or if I connected with the characters, then I'll be like, okay, let's see what's going on. I will say that the 3rd episode makes things go a lot better, but it does not fix the fundamental issues that I have with it. And that's me being very nice. Again, I shouldn't have turned my mic on.
No. It's okay. And here's the thing that's folks, I want you to know this. That's a unique thing nowadays, that usually we're bombarded with marketing and ads and everywhere. And the fact that Sam didn't know about this and took my recommendation, which I'm sorry if it didn't pan out, but it was something I think was worth trying. And the fact that he went in cold, I find that intriguing. And the fact that he did watch it, and he's not just reading reviews and whatnot. He watched the 3 episodes, and that's what he took out of it. So I appreciate that. And I do agree that 3rd episode, like, because I told Jen and Mike, I'm like, that's the 2nd episode. Yeesh. That was, I don't know how to go. And I same thing with Mac. I'm gonna say this to, if Sophia Rosinski sees this, that is as good as a compliment I can give, at least from my perspective. That was such a unique thing that I'm like, whoa, that's like Edward Furlong from T2. What the
John
heck?
Connor.
Yeah.
I saw it was John Connor. I was like, no way.
I thought of that when I was watching her. I'm like, that's John Connor.
Yeah. And I thought that was
Okay.
so cool. And I liked her presence that way in the 1st episode. And it felt like there was no hope or progress to come off in the 2nd episode. But for me, luckily, episode 3 did bring it home, and there wasn't a moment. And I told Mike that it hit home for me as a sibling, as an older sibling. It hit home for me, which I won't go into further details because you got to go watch the show if you want to give it a try. That's something that I do want to bring up, that even as someone who's read the first 10 issues, the antagonist, if you will, the danger for these girls, I still haven't really felt their presence to a T, to the point that all I see right now is that they're just lost, and they so happen to be in different times, which is why I like that fact that you brought up, Sam, about like 80s and the aesthetic of the 80s. That this have been, made in this time period, and instead of them being paper girls, they're doing an activity for the local high school, and it just happens that they're being bullied and they're just sucked into this time travel essence. Like, wasn't necessary for the 80s element, whatnot. And as a TV show, I don't think it has garnered or brought that forth of like, why is this being placed in the 80s and then jump to 2019?
Yeah. I'm gonna make another statement. This is gonna be
Yeah.
I gotta be real careful. So there's a random series that I saw called Wayne. Just this random kid that, his dad is sick, but he doesn't put up crap for anybody. Nobody's seen this, but it's just on Amazon, and it is freaking dope. Like, just off of what's going on with it, it's really crazy. I really like it. But then I could say on Sci-Fi, there's a show back in the day called Being Human. Baseline premise: you got a werewolf, you got a vampire, and you got a ghost. They're living together.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, just off of that, like, I'm already like, oh, okay, this is interesting. And then I'll do one last one. Hulu. This is old. The Misfits. Random kids. They all are on probation. They're doing, community service. All of a sudden, they get zapped with something. They get powers, and we don't know where it goes from there. But each one of these are on a streaming service where anything goes. So for a fact, like, it could be death, it could be language, it could be a lot of things you go with this. Off the first 2 episodes, I don't know what the tone is. I don't know what the demographic of people they're trying to hit, because initially I was kind of like, this maybe will work better on CW because there's not a lot of violence. There's not a lot of violence or anything going. There's not a lot of language, anything going. I was like, maybe this would have worked better on CW because there's nothing that show me like these are stakes, there's violence, there's none of that. And even with the antagonist that shows up, she's a great actress. They don't do anything with her, even in the 3rd episode. But the 3rd episode, one thing that I do like, and this is one of the characters I do like, and I noticed myself, like, I think it's a good thing and a bad thing. In the 2nd episode, the older version of this character, the girls start to antagonize her. They start to put her down. And I found myself like feeling like, man, she ain't deserved that. She's actually cool. Like, I'm an adult. Like, I get where she's coming from. Like, she's trying to help these kids, and they're just trashing her. And I was like, I don't like y'all. Just off of that, I started to not like them, but I started to connect with her, which is fascinating, because then going from the 2nd episode to the 3rd, I was like, okay, they're doubling down more with her and her effectiveness and why she's there and why they can use her, which works for the betterment of the show. The problem with that transition is specifically in the 2nd episode. They do so much for these girls that I just don't really fundamentally like them. They're really bratty. They're really brash. And it's almost like they're doubling down on it for I'm not sure why. And it doesn't help. It doesn't help the progression of the show, because I need to be able to be like, I need just one of y'all to connect one of y'all. And unfortunately, with, like you said, Ronan, with Mac, with the sibling situation, I connected with that. I don't know.
But even with that, I'm like, did they do a chemistry test with any of the girls? Like, that's what I'm like, I'm asking. I never have to ask that before, right? It's just like, even then, the depiction of like even 89, like, I have family members who like were old enough to did paper routes and stuff like that, and I'm just like, and I'm really with one character. I'm gonna keep it a buck just with me, but like, what's the character Tiffany? I'm like, as a black girl in the 89 talking like that, I'm like, you lost your mind. You lost your mind. I'm like, who are you? Where's your mom? Like, I just like I would just kind of like getting this, and then just like, again, I felt so much Ali Wong, I love Ali Wong, by the way, as a comedian and everything. She's a great person. Anytime when I saw her on the show, I'm like, all right, cool, Ali Wong, all right, cool. But then the actress they got to play the younger version, right, of Aaron, there was like this one scene of them like together, uh, and I just like even then like the things that they were saying, like you didn't build that up for like out of what 2 episodes to have like this huge resentment or relation or just inner conflict with your older self. I'm like, you're talking to yourself. Get mad. Like why? I'm just like
Yeah, just out of the blue.
like
Yeah,
I'm just saying for me, like, and as an adult, Ali Wong for someone now, I'm like, I'm not a kid anymore. I can relate just in terms of her performance. Just like, yeah, to what she is, like, she's not at the point where she wanted to be in life when she was that age. So, like, which we can all relate to that, you know. But I thought that was a missed opportunity because they had some special right there. But at least with these 3 episodes, it just made me like, screw your younger self, and even all the rest of the kids. Like, it just felt like to me, Ali Wong. If let's say the show started out with Ali Wong, and it's like, you know how I started here, then rewind, and then it goes to paper route, and then also there was a detour, and then here she is, like, show up on in the kitchen and stuff like that, and then we go through the rest of the story, something like that, you know. Um, but yeah, I would just some type of saving grace I felt with the kids, and I uh share sentiment with Natasha on this. Like I give child actors some like saving grace, but I honestly don't believe this is their personality. I feel like they're directed poorly. Like I honestly believe they're directed poorly. Same thing like with Sam Raimi, the compared to how they treat the kids from WandaVision, to compared to how they were in the WandaVision show. Like I thought the way they were in Multiverse of Madness, like they weren't directed well compared to what they were in WandaVision. So I know that it's not really the actor, it's just how you use them and utilize them in terms of directing. I think that is the catalyst on their performance, though. Um, but yeah, I honestly believe like child actors. I mean, other than the Stranger Things thing, 'cause they started very younger age, even younger than them. Like than these girls in these show, like in this show, because the Stranger Things kids they started younger, like
yeah.
than they are. So I'm like, hey, you don't get that excuse. Like if a if a 10-year-old or like can do this.
And that's what's fascinating about like the dynamics between these kids is that at least with Mac, we spent it might have been what a solid minute or few in her environment in the house, and you could immediately see why she would smoke. You could immediately see why she would have this attitude, and that's only one character. If it's the whole lot, I could only feel so much bad for Ola Aaron to be like, yo, how that first of all, your younger self is right here, so that's already trippy.
Mm-hmm.
These girls should be tripping out about traveling in a distant, to the distant future.
Mm-hmm.
And but the fact that they all have very, very, very similar attitude, that's why, at least for me, besides Mac and what she's going through, KJ is the one that I appreciate it. And at least here's the thing I'll say about this: there are moments like that I'm like, okay, there's a moment between the characters just talking about stuff under these weird circumstances. But you gotta bring that all the way throughout a whole episode, because if the rest of it is 90% just bland, then I mean,
But
you
Ronan, you have to
pull it.
understand, even with Miss Marvel, like the show tackles on coming of age story, a teen not being comfortable with themselves and everything like that. We've seen this storyline so many times. But the thing I give props to Miss Marvel is that actress, and she just like one of her first roles. She's very, very likable, very, very
Yes,
likable. I don't see how you can watch that show and not at least smile, when
yeah,
she's on screen. And that is something that a lot of people cannot do. But just like for you to have like 4 girls there on the screen when we're just instantly just pulled into the show, like that has to immediately give me, okay, what can I relate to you about? All right, you deal with someone, you're an 89 and you're Asian girl and in a town, and yeah, people not gonna probably respect you. Okay, we can get that minorities, represent. I
yeah.
get it. Black girl saving her, like we got it. you know uh, but like, yeah, but I just felt, me personally, if they're not likable, that's something you do a huge disservice for the rest of the season. Where now it's like you have, as a viewer, have a vendetta over these like characters. And I know it's not these actors' fault. I just think it's just the characters are just written just poorly.
Well,
And yeah,
there you go. That's the crux of it. The way that they're written doesn't help. And then on top of directing, it's like you want to root for them. Like, of course, Tiffany, I'm going to automatically try and root for you.
Exactly.
exactly.
Right? But I'm like,
Right.
what are you doing? And then she doesn't get enough. I don't know her enough to care. And I'm just like, I want to care. I want to care, but I'm not given enough to care. There, and I think it probably doesn't help
Where's my map?
that their bond hasn't developed, and we didn't have enough time to develop before they're thrust into this, or even as they're processing this. It's kind of like, and I guess when you're dealing with strangers, you're not probably going to process well if you're thrust into something that you have no understanding of. You don't know what's going on. And so in a sense, I can relate to that part of it. But again, the characters have to be likable. There has to be something there that I like, and I can understand them being a little jerky when they're processing something. But so far, I'm not as, I have an issue, and there isn't a right balance yet. And I think there's not enough time for them to find that balance, especially if you are coming off of the great season that is Stranger Things of season 4. Like, it's just not, the timing of it is not helpful.
No, yeah.
I just feel bad for this show because the timing of it is just not.
And I think,
Ronan, I got a quick question.
Next year,
go for
and
it.
develop it more.
I agree. It's good. That's all right.
No, you're fine. So my question was, how do you take them and their actual reaction to time travel? And I mean down to the older adult and the girls. Reason why I asked this question is because when you have somebody like Mac, right? She's a music head, right?
Yes.
Like she loves she got the Walkman, got the headphones. You know, I would assume you would have a scene where she's all of a sudden like looking at like, is this a stereo? What the heck is this?
Yes.
And if she looks at a phone and she's like, yo, you got any music for me to play? And starts to scroll down like, yo, wait, are these your headphones? You know, like,
yes.
I would think if they're kids, right, they would have so many different reactions. They wouldn't be like, oh, I need to find my older adult version because it's going to be able to do this. I need to do this because this is going to be able to take care of all the problems. Oh, wow.
Or how about just let me grab a random firearm, you know, and just we got strap up, right?
Well, so the reason why I asked that question is because I think the issue is they don't allow the characters enough time to actually be kids. They're reactional based on the circumstance, but it's just cookie cutter. So what it means, and again, I haven't read the comics and I have not, even seen the trailer, but it feels like they're just thrust immediately into each other, then thrown somewhere else, and then they're just moving versus reacting to the circumstances around them. And there's no breathing room. It almost feels like the best thing I hate to compare. I'm not going to compare it because that'd be a direct shot in the. Let's just say a certain M. Night did something with a certain series, and the issue with that film was they took a whole arc and made it into one movie where it could have been spread off. And I feel like
I don't like to talk about that movie.
I know that's why I didn't even mention it.
Don't worry, it's gonna be.
But I'm saying that
coming. We gotta.
I'm saying that because I feel like there wasn't enough time for me to connect with them to like them. There's not enough time for them to react to what's going on. And it's not believable how they're reacting to time travel. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's where I was going to have a question to you, Ron, because you have read the comic.
Yeah.
Do they have breathing room? Do they react differently to the environment? Or is it kind of like, because this is where I guess it all goes and swirls together. The director's job is to adapt the material to make it work. Sometimes some directors take page for page and put it on in place. Some directors are like, no, we're going to take this, make it believable, adapt it, and in that time frame, how are they going to react to the situations around them? And that's one thing I can give Miss Marvel credit for, is they adapted really well. It's directed really well. Yeah. So I don't know if it's more like in the comics, you don't see that on the panels, right? You don't see them reacting to the things that are going on in present day.
Yeah.
Or, it's more of a thing like it's just cookie cutter. I don't know. That's why I'm asking you how you felt about that and how you all felt about like their reaction to this trial, because it just comes off unbelievable. And that was another thing that took me out of episode 1 and 2, because I was like, nah, bro, if I'm sitting there getting I get pulled somewhere and I'm getting shot at or something like that, I'm gonna completely act a completely different way than that. So
So I'll say this. So from just the TV show point of view, I thought they should have had at least a moment where all of them individually differently had like either hyperventilated or just just started like one of them should have started praying. So one of them should have like just try to like calm themselves, or one should have comforted the other one. That's I thought that should have at least like taken like a solid 5 minutes, 10 minutes just to let that happen and let them be like, all right, they're in shock, they're not where they think they were. Let that breathe. And in terms of the adaptation, I'll say this. And for those who read the book, you'll get what I'm coming from. The first episode is basically the first volume of the series. The one book that has the first five issues is basically that. I would have thought you would have try to adapt that for the first the three episodes, and let us first establish where we are in Cleveland, Ohio in 1988. Let the characters know, because a couple of them know each other. Aaron is the only one that's new to the group, or to the Paper Girls organization, if you will. The other know each other, so there should have been more leaning in on that, and having Aaron come into the fold. And that's you brought up the whole thing about like technology. What's the internet? To me, it was so weird to see them just glance over it like it was nothing. It was like, ooh, cool thing, and then cut to the plot, and it's just like, no. Stick to that. That's why there's a moment in episode 3 where that involves music that hits good, because I'm like, okay, Mac is now coming to the terms that like, okay, not everybody, barely nobody uses tape anymore. It's even more in a car. There's just a new way to that, and the fact that we're inside older Aaron's house, the girls, instead of, like I said, they should have been shocked because of what they went through, but they should have been more exploring the place and seeing what is new and what's similar to what they were growing up to. Instead, they were in one room, basically in one living room, just what do you think? I don't know. What do you think? I don't know. Screw this. I'm gonna go find my thing. Why not? I'm like, no, why not? I was shocked how quick that first episode got to the first book. I was like, damn, already? And there is stuff that they do change. They do change stuff. But I mean, this is not, they referenced animals or creatures that are part of the future. I would have thought, as a hook line, just for those who haven't read it, you should have presented that in the first episode. That should have been
exposition.
Exactly. Show instead of telling it. If people recognize, I'm gonna say it. If people recognize a dinosaur, they'll know, okay, there's no dinosaurs in 1988. Something is off from this. We don't have to spell it out, X, Y, Z, that this is what's gonna happen. This is what's, about to come. And it's so weird. I told Mike it was weird that I know what's happening and what's coming, and yet they change stuff, and I would have expected them to lean into a moment way more than instead of just running through it. For example, when we get back to Mac's house and there's a gun that comes into play in terms of the storyline, there is way more into it instead of just grabbing a weapon of self-defense. There's way more into it, and it impacts Mac as an individual way more. And I think, Nat, you brought it well about how it's very tribal with these girls, that even after the shock or lack of shock of them time traveling, they're all talking about like, I'm supposed to be in MIT and then I just gotta go home. And you would have thought that at this point, okay, what the F is going on? Let's stay together. Just leave the bickering to itself, and nobody lose, because if somebody gets lost and I'm on my own, I'm going to be in a way worse state than I am right now.
I was just looking for one of the girls to question the reality. Like, am I dreaming? Like, this can't be happening. This can't be. I choose not to believe this. I need to go back home. Like having like a moment where in your head, like, there's no way this is possible. And even in the whole 3 episodes, none of them question this at all. The only person that questions it, honestly, is the adult.
Yes.
and I that's why I like her, because she's kind of like, I don't know what's going on with this. This could be a figment of my imagination, but I actually got to deal with these problems. I still feel like she's on the fence whether or not this is actually happening, but she's kind of rolling with it,
Yeah.
or at least that's the way she's acting. It could be on paper they're like, no, you just accept it. But yeah. I'm not gonna go any further. Long short of it, I guess for me, after the third episode, I'll continue to watch and see where it goes. I'm intrigued, but I feel like the quality level is just not there. And if the quality isn't, I'll give a best example that I can give. One of the things about the movie that won the Academy Award for Best Picture, that movie did not win Best Picture because it was the best looking film or the best production. It was because of the story, and it was because of the likability of the family. It was because of what it meant, right? It could honestly have been on ABC Family for all I care, as far as the way that it actually looked from a quality standpoint. If the quality isn't there, you got to compensate for something else. And this show needs to develop that. I'm believing that it has that capacity, because I don't think that Ronan would have gotten or bought the book if it didn't have that capability. It's just more so the execution of that. It needs to do that, and that's honestly my resting thoughts with it, because I don't want you guys to feel like I've been talking for 41 minutes and it's like we're trashing it. I'm going to continue watching it.
Yeah.
But the first two episodes are not it, and the third episode makes it digestible because they start adding elements into it and making the characters evolve a little bit.
Yes.
But yeah, that's my personal thoughts.
Yeah, I was of the same vein. Like I'm interested enough to see where it goes, and hopefully it kind of ends on a better note than how it began. But I'm not. It's just sad that the quality, just like Sam said, it's just not there, and and you can tell that it's like, I feel like they should have cared more if they really wanted this to be a hit. I don't know what the I don't know. Do they want multiple seasons? Like what do they want here? If they want multiple seasons, this ain't it.
Yeah. I'll close it out. Jenna, Mike, what are your thoughts onwards, and are you intrigued to continue watching it? What what's on your
Oh,
mind?
keep that picture right there. Now, this is for you old heads, so you never remember this. Now I shouldn't be talking, especially to people on this panel. But the point is, this remind me of this old Disney Channel movie called um it's called it's Under Monsters Under My Bed or something like that.
Yes, I remember that, with
Thank you. Ah, there you
the
go.
black
There you go.
monster and then the redhead. I remember
Yes,
that.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, you got the black dude from Even Stevens in there. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so that remember me. I was like, oh, look at that, looks familiar. But but yeah, no, why continue on with this show? It's part of the job description, as you being a movie critic, you're gonna have to watch things and you have to endure, Um and I will say this is that no, just because something stumbles and loses its way doesn't mean it's lost forever. We still
There
got
you
about
go.
4 episodes or so, I think, left. Yeah, yeah, you go. Yeah,
I
yeah.
love that movie.
Y'all, it's like y'all old enough to remember that. Respect to you.
Yeah.
You're old enough to remember that. Respect to you. But yeah, yeah. So I have hope. You never know. It just now I think this is also this show when it fully comes out, like when all the episodes drop. It's one that leads to those conversations. Should this show should have been binge or should have been like a week by week show? Cause then there's some shows I watched. I'm like, okay, I could have just binged this. It would have been better for me. I didn't have to. Like, I'll give you a comparison. I didn't have to watch there's certain episodes I have to watch Obi-Wan week by week. I wish I would have binged the whole thing. I would have felt a little
I
bit better for
agree.
that. Or it should have
I
just been a
agree.
movie. Um, but like other series, like okay, Stranger Things, okay, The Boys, you can release week by week. Other shows you can release week by week, but like this, I'm like, no. Some people can get off week like what I think very, very easily. Like I'm not coming back for this. Yeah.
Right.
So
All right. I'll say this anybody, Don't
Yeah.
Look Under the Bed, I believe is the name of the movie. Correct me if I'm
Yeah.
wrong.
It is.
I
A lot
love
of
that movie.
controversy with that scene right there.
As a,
If you know, you know.
yeesh. I'll say this, that there are moments as a fan of the first 10 issues of the book that made me smile. I'm like, oh my gosh, that is right out of the book. And that is such a unique thing to see. Um, from the costume point of view, that's right out of the book. So if you're a fan of the book, you'll get a gold nugget for knowing that. And um, I am of the mind that I want to finish this season and see how I feel onward. The first 3 episodes are not as strong as I hoped for, but the stuff is right there. This show does have the elements, I believe so, to be great. Now that's what sucks afterwards, that the next few episodes they're gonna have to hit, out of the ballpark, all the way from the writing point of view, from the acting point of view, and how the whether it be the running time or just when it has to be slow, make sure it's a character moment. No, don't just focus on the plot. Like, we already know, okay, we're time traveled, and we still have to pick up what the antagonist or the villains are of this season, but remember to make us care about these characters, on whether to anybody, specifically those who haven't read the book, because that's the thing, that's the unfortunate or the fortunate thing of me, is that I read the book, so I do have some emotion connected to the show, but that's completely different scenario than from what Nat, Jedi, Mike, or what Sam are feeling. So I am hopeful to everybody at Prime Video. Oh God, is that from Pee Wee? That was me during 4th of July, when the fireworks were going off. I am hopeful that it can be strong. To everyone, to the cast and crew, the showrunners, please, please, as someone, because I'm going to say this: we get TV shows every other week, but this is from Image Comics. To me personally, that's my favorite right now comic book company to get books from, because why? You could tell almost any story you want. You don't have to follow certain rules. And in an era where there's a Marvel movie coming out every week, every day, um, in an era where DC is trying to come out with a movie every 6 months, possibly. Flash. Anyway, I let's hope that this is good, because hopefully the audience doesn't shy away from, like, Image Books can't cut it, let's just keep feeding Disney, or we'll keep hoping that Warner Brothers get it together all the way. um so please, and the actresses, the four girls, I'm gonna watch the next 5 episodes, 6 episodes. I'm gonna watch them, so I'm with you till the end of the season. The ball's in your court. Bring it home. Bring it effing home. That's all I got to say about that. First, I'm going to start off with this. Sam, thanks so much for doing this. I truly, truly appreciate it, man. My bad. My bad. That it didn't hit the way I hoped and it should have hit, in my opinion. But nevertheless, I appreciate this opportunity to do this. And again, amigo, thank you very much for doing this.
Yeah.
Jenna, Mike,
Okay.
Jenna, Mike, plug yourself. Where can people find you in this big world of ours?
Mhm. You can find me on my YouTube channel at Jedi Mike 7 Reviews, News, and Truth. Be on YouTube. You can also find my Instagram at Jedi Mike 7. I have a ton of content be coming here, but also see me also on this channel as well. And we also be working with Ronan as well too. So pleasure as always.
Yeah.
Y'all stay blessed.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jedi Mike. Nat, Natasha, I had heard what Sam and Mike had been thinking about this show. I was so intrigued to see what you thought, and you brought up some great points. And you did, I'm gonna say this, you did also, remind me to be like, yo, that's the comic is that one thing. This is the TV show. So prepare yourself for that and prepare to face what it is. So I appreciate that you gave me that point of view and sense. And I'm so glad to have you in this discussion. But tell the folks where people can find you in the World Wide Webs.
As someone that reads in general and they do adaptations, I completely understand the mindset of the reader and wanting to root for a show and really praying that it hits
Lord.
and pray that it hits well. So you can find me at WillCat12 on Instagram and Twitter. On TikTok, I am at Natty Willie. Yeah, I just figured I'd put that out there. Yeah, yep. That's the pretty much. I mentioned Wheel of Time a lot, so Wheel of Time has its issues, but I still enjoyed the first season, and the first episode was enough, especially the last half that I was like, okay, I'm in it. So yeah, you can see my reviews on that on this channel, and I also do social media for TeamJVS, and you'll see me occasionally on here. So reviews,
yeah. Beautiful. This schmuck, this fool. You could follow me at Ronan Unchained on YouTube, on Twitter. I do movies reviews, reactions, TV shows reactions, reviews. Once in a while, I'll do a comic book reaction as well or review. And I am fortunate enough to have made good friends with Sam. And so that's where you can find me. But I want everybody who's watched this and will continue watching this channel to support TeamJVS. They got gold of a content library, and they are just getting started. And all I'm gonna say is, if you've seen this by now, I can't wait. I haven't seen it. I can't wait to hear what Sam thought about Thor: Love and Thunder and this spoiler review.
Oh yeah, stay on target.
No.
Stay on target.
No.
Sweet child of
mine. No more locked doors. I can't do it. Can't do it.
Oh no! All right. We'll see you folks next time. Thank you for watching.
Falling out the top of I can see the skyline, 50 mile radius on my timeline. Ain't nothing on my mind.